Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the film from 1994, Project Shadowchaser. Two. I had something else written down here, so I had to just make that up off the top of my
We
head.
covered Project Shadowchaser before Christmas, I feel.
Yeah, I think it was like November maybe, or early December.
Yeah, and kind of summarised it as a bad Die Hard film with a robot and...
Yeah. It's Terminator vibes, but with Die Hard plot, and the look of the android is very
Vanilla
Blade
Rice.
Runner. And Vanilla Rice, yeah.
I when I sat down to watch this, I was like, oh man, I'm actually quite excited for this.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that kind of turned out, whether that stayed
Yes.
throughout the whole thing. Before we get into any topics, if you want to skip ahead, we've got time codes in the episode description. But before that, how are you, Lewis?
Yeah, all right. I've had a long old week at work again.
And it's only Tuesday.
Yeah, today was a bit better, but yeah, we've got someone at work who's unfortunately ill, and I'm having to cover them, so
Extra
for me. Yes,
Yeah,
but apart from that, it was all right today because I just kind of didn't do their stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. Just
So-
focus on yourself. It's a self-care day.
But yeah, no, it was fine.
Nice.
How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Got a bit of a cold, but done all the required testing and it looks all okay. I mean, I get colds, so, you know, as most people do occasionally.
Never had a cold.
Yeah. Well, I'm going on holiday at the end of the week, so I'm hoping that it doesn't change into anything
Yes.
else, and I'm just going to rest up and stay healthy.
Yep, that's a good idea
That is a good idea. I'm very smart on occasion,
on occasion.
however rare that may be, but yeah.
Project news. So, as always, I've Googled the word project and looked at a couple of bits of news that interest me.
Yeah.
So the first one, how Our Place, a massive and chaotic collaborative art project on Reddit, showcased the best and worst of the online spaces.
What was the word? Plates.
Place.
Place.
So the idea is, it's like a blank canvas, and anyone with a
Right.
Reddit account can place a single pixel every 5
I think
minutes.
I did see something about this. Yeah.
And it's been going for like a week or so now, and
Right.
yeah, it's been quite interesting to see what people create.
Yeah.
It's very quickly fallen into like groups creating
Right.
stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
There's lots and lots of flags.
right.
There's like football fans who put their team's badge on there, like
Yeah,
collaborative to
yeah.
make sure it's big.
Right.
There's a group called the Blue Corner who
Okay.
make sure a corner of the thing is blue at all
Yeah,
times.
cute.
It has like expanded a couple times, I think, and they make sure there's a blue corner.
Right.
But then there's been like kind of mini battles between opposing groups who they want to draw a piece there, and then other people draw over it.
Yeah.
I also saw one that someone put a QR code,
Oh, really?
and
Okay,
when you
cool.
scanned it, it took you to Rick Astley Never
Yeah.
Gonna Give You
Okay.
Up.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's quite interesting just to see kind of what happens
Yeah,
and what
yeah.
people draw. Lots and lots of flags.
Mm.
Lots of
So
flags.
there's nothing particularly offensive coming up.
Not that I've noticed.
Okay.
I presume.
I mean, did the article say best and worst of the internet? So
Yeah.
I imagine when you were saying flags, I was like, oh, what kind of offensive flags can be done? And
No,
I
mainly
can
just
think of at least one that I'd imagine turning up at least some point.
national flags. But I think like actual offensive stuff would quickly get covered over.
Right. Okay.
Because
yeah.
like you could put a piece down and it automatically, or someone just puts something else on top straight
Yeah,
away.
yeah. And it's 1 pixel at a time.
One
per
pixel at a
user.
time.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to wait like 5 minutes, and it is like huge. Like
Oh,
it's
cool.
literally like 10,000 pixels by 10,000. So like your
Nice.
1 pixel doesn't make much difference.
Right. So
but
you have to coordinate almost. to
coordinate,
get
yeah, it'll be
something,
like, oh, let's
yeah.
go to these coordinates and
Right. Yeah.
do that. But some of the stuff is pretty cool. There was a running joke about loads of people tried to do a Canada flag,
Right.
and they couldn't figure out how to do the maple leaf, and it's just like, a pixely blur.
A weird smudge in the middle, yeah.
And it's like other countries have quite like somebody even did like the German coat of arms, like the eagle,
right, okay.
in detail. It looked great, but the Canadians can't seem to draw maple leaf. So yeah, it's been some funny stuff, but yeah, it's just kind of a fun little internet experiment thing. The other bit of news I've got is Squid Game creator Hwang Dong-hyuk teases new project, Killing Old People Club.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, Hwang Dong-hyuk, who
didn't have enough of killing one old person in Squid Game, so maybe up the ante a little bit.
So,
he looked at the reactions and everyone seemed to like that part the most.
Yeah.
So they focused in on the highlights.
Yeah, so they're working on Squid Game season 2, but he's making a film called Killing Old People Club. Inspired by a novel penned by Umberto Eco,
right,
an Italian intellectual. But yeah, he said it will surely be another controversial film. It will be more violent than Squid Game. I don't know plot details. Maybe if somebody's read the short story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll be like a Netflix thing because he's got the deal with.
Yeah, he did say in here he credited Netflix for believing in his vision, sharing that they were the only company to bet on the gritty series.
They've probably got like you have to make 5 things for us kind of deal going with him.
But I mean, like, Squid Game was like the most streamed series of all time within like a few weeks.
It was. The only thing about those is one thing we don't see the numbers for Netflix, which is always a bit, whenever we cover something on Netflix, we have to be careful about that. The other thing is that they always seem to be saying that the new thing has topped it. And sometimes the most like boring, banal thing is like, oh, this is the newest thing. And it's like, but how can that have, surely that didn't break Squid Game, whatever.
And it's not like a, like it's very murky waters because it's on their streaming service where they're sticking their stuff at the front being like watch this, watch this. It's not a more natural
totally, because you see the top 10 for the country you're viewing in, and I have doubts that that's accurate at all.
Sometimes quite often on the top 10 it'll be like Fantastic Beasts or something, and it's like, I don't believe Fantastic Beasts is the top 10.
It's Warner Brothers gave you like $1 million to put it at the front, right? You know, so maybe not that much, but you know, part of their advertising budget is to do with allotting the streaming.
A lot of
preference.
The new Netflix series will immediately be in the top 5 most watched.
And like the Adam Project, I mean, we covered it on here, so you can hear our thoughts on the episode a couple of episodes ago, but it's still like number 6 in the UK, and I kind of find that hard to believe. Like,
nobody's really talking about it.
I haven't heard anyone in real life, in like my, you know, actual real life.
You don't have a real life.
Apart from like anything to do with the podcast, you know, all our millions of fans that stop me in the street and say, have you covered the Adam Project yet? And I say, if you were a real fan, you would know that we covered it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or so.
And there was that one guy you had a big argument about whether or not we'd covered it, but it was on the Sunday before we'd released.
Yeah.
So he hadn't heard it yet, but it's too late. You'd already punched him in the face.
And Mr. Reynolds, I'm really sorry. Like, I know that you really wanted us to cover it, and I'm hoping that didn't taint your view of us. We still see that subscription from LA/Canada that pops up, and I assume that is you,
he's just doing his research for his next film, Kill All Podcasters. No, it'll be Project Kill All Podcasters, so that we have to cover it.
There's 2 characters called
Bam and Mewis.
Yeah, good.
Yes, but that is the project news for the week. Not too much, but you know, I will probably watch the Killing Old People Club.
You're gonna join that club,
and then when they make a series about it, I'll watch that too.
It's actually a film, so
yes, you're right. It is.
On to the main topic, though.
Yes. So, Project Shadowchaser 2.
Yeah.
I've got the Google description here. We can start off with that.
Yes.
An engineer, a scientist, and her son defend a nuclear base from terrorists led by an android.
Cool. Yeah, pretty apt. I mean, one of the titles of those characters isn't really accurate.
He's not an engineer. He's like a janitor.
They call him he calls himself a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
But we don't find that out for about half the film.
No.
I'm like, oh, who is this guy and why is he there? Of course, we will get to it as we go through. But otherwise, I think that description kind of sums it up quite well.
Yeah. So we did cover the first film, as we said, a while ago.
Yeah.
It was a very silly. I can't remember what we gave it, but it wasn't the highest of ratings.
It wasn't the highest of ratings, but I think we both enjoyed it for what it was.
It was a fun time. It was ridiculous and silly.
It's a very silly film, and it really is not as good as any of those films we said, heavily inspired.
Yeah.
Heavily inspired.
So Project Shadowchaser 2, the director returns.
Yeah.
John Ayers.
Yeah.
Written by Jeff Albert. The only cast member to return is Frank Zagarino.
Yeah.
Who plays Romulus the android. Although in this film they never say Romulus.
They never even say Shadowchaser.
No,
there are a couple of alternate names that we can talk about a little bit
later. Yeah, he's credited as android, but he is pretty much the same character.
He's the same character. He's having a bit more fun with it this time, and they kind of touch on it at one point that maybe things aren't going quite right with him. But it's not important to the story. I mean, spoilers for the first film, but the character pretty clearly dies in some way, or at least the same way any kind of Terminator character can die.
Yeah, he falls off a skyscraper
while
into an explosion,
fire, I think, as well. Yeah, and they don't make any attempt to connect them. In fact, the version I watched didn't even have Shadowchaser when it popped up. It was a different title,
right?
So it is like a standalone sequel. It would be like a reboot almost in modern senses.
Yeah, very very loose sequel.
And looking ahead at I had a quick peek at the other two films in the series. It seems like they do the exact same thing. It's almost like a Halloween or Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of big villain guy, but no otherwise connections, which I'm all here for.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't all need to be connected. No. So other cast members, we've got I didn't get the guy's name who plays Frank, the maintenance
Brian Genesi.
Yeah, he didn't have a Wikipedia page, so I didn't write his name down.
I've got the IMDb open.
But Beth Toussaint, who plays the main woman,
Laurie Weber.
Yeah,
a lot of these people I've got not their character names written.
Oh no, it took me a long time to pick up there. She basically does like the odd episode of TV for the last 30 years, including an episode of The Next Generation, Star Trek.
Of course, yeah. Frank Genesi does lots of these kind of films in the 90s to very early 2000s.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the person people may kind of recognize is the kid. Played by Daniel Bonjour,
which is a great name. That's got to be a stage name.
Oh, but even as a kid, he had it. Who people may recognize as Aidan Monroe in a couple of episodes of The Walking Dead.
Right, okay.
I never really watched Walking Dead. He's only in a couple of episodes, so you may not even recognize him, but that's kind of his big... It's kind of nice to know he was still doing stuff like 20 years later.
Yeah. He also seems to be an iZombie, which people might know. And he was in a Rick and Morty episode. The Old Man in the Seat, when he has like a thing about a toilet, a secret toilet. Rick's got like a secret toilet.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's that guy, just his voice. So, but yeah.
Probably a minor character.
Probably a very minor character.
So, do you say you've got the IMDb in front of you?
I do, yeah.
So, I won't ask you to guess the rating.
Okay. Well, I'm not looking at it now. I've scrolled down.
Do you want to guess the rating then?
4?
It is 4.
Is it?
You definitely haven't scrolled down.
No, I just scrolled up just then. Trust me.
And the Rotten Tomato score.
I don't have that in front of me.
Right, so there was only 2 critics' reviews on there.
3 after this episode.
One of them gave it 0 out of 5.
Wow, I didn't know you could do that. Cool.
And the other person gave it 2 out of 5.
Okay.
So it doesn't have an audience score, but it would be 0.
Yeah.
There's also only 2 audience score ratings.
Right.
Who both gave it a 0.
Cool.
So across critics and audience, this film has a Rotten Tomatoes of 0%.
I had a quick look at the user reviews on IMDb, and there's some funny ones in there. If we've got time, I might read one out later on, but I'll keep it open in case.
But yeah, like I said, when this started, I was like, actually, this is the most I've looked forward to a film at the start in a long time. So I'm like, as bad as the first one was, it was good fun.
It was good fun, and I think this kind of hits a lot of the same points in a way.
Yeah.
It is kind of a reboot in a lot of ways.
I think this is probably a bit sillier.
Yeah, the plot is a lot more like taken up to the kind of threat in general.
I feel like it's the plot's less sci-fi than the first one.
There's that weird thing about like robot duplicates and stuff.
And the guy who'd been frozen in prison.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He was a former American football player who was the hero.
They kept the former sports player for this,
didn't
they? Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So it opens with various establishing shots of
I think it's
unknown
Washington
city.
DC. I think it is.
Right.
Yeah. And the music that's playing is kind of like the Halloween theme, but like a little bit more like brooding. It's kind of like the kind of not quite the horror kind of vibe. It's kind of like some like tense kind of. This is probably the most tense we get in the whole thing.
And then we're basically following a limo around, and then we get to a man smoking a cigar in the limo.
Yeah.
And he's talking to somebody else, and he's basically saying the president wants Cobra dismantled.
That's right.
We don't know what Cobra is.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Cobra was Shadowchaser.
Yeah, they call it
but
the
it's
ultimate
not.
weapon, and we don't know what it is.
It's not Shadowchase. The guy's like, wait, we spent billions in this, and now he wants it destroyed? And he's like, the weapon is a political embarrassment.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's 1994, it's post-Cold War, but they're like, the Cold War isn't over. What about China and North Korea?
Yeah, they're like, the Soviets are no longer a nuclear threat. Yeah. And then, so what was something about 28 days?
The president has given them 28 days to destroy Cobra.
Yeah.
And the mission is of utmost secrecy. We could be dealing with another Holocaust.
Yeah,
which is a weird thing to say.
What they mean by that, I think, because it has the potential to wipe out a big group of people.
Yeah,
and people talk about nuclear holocaust, but I guess if you targeted the weapon at a certain group of people, you could wipe them. Do a kind of genocidal kind of thing.
And maybe it's trying to be vague in that, like, it's not just
we don't know.
It's not. They could say it could be another Nagasaki. But that would say, oh, we know it's a nuclear bomb if they said that.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's like, we just
Spoilers.
know. I'm still not entirely sure what Cobra is, to be honest.
Oh, really? Oh,
I think but they're basically saying this could kill lots of people.
Yeah.
So then it's 3 weeks later, December 24th.
Yes.
Because the first film didn't make a lot of money, despite being exactly like Die Hard.
Yeah, so
they thought, what has Die Hard got that we don't, set at Christmas?
Literally a Christmas party the day before, on Christmas Eve, which apparently is what things do. And I realised about halfway through that we could have done this for one of our Christmas specials if we'd known in advance. And now we've spunked it.
To be fair,
the middle of early April.
To be fair, we did an actual Christmas film.
I know
for Christmas,
but
I wouldn't want to wait until Christmas to watch this.
That's true.
Because I'd also like to watch 3 and 4 at some point this year.
I feel like we should space them out a little bit more, but also I agree with you completely.
We're in the bathroom.
Are we?
Yeah, listeners need to know where we record. Of this party, and some guy's like washing his hands.
Oh no, I think it's somewhere else because their delivery guy comes along.
Oh yeah, this is just some random bathroom.
And the guy's washing his hands, and he's got glasses on, and then you see someone like putting a silencer on a pistol.
Yeah,
and then like pulls it on him, and he's like, and then there's loads of shots, and blood's going fucking everywhere.
Like,
I swear it's way bloodier than the first one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and looking at the IMDb, there is a PG-13 cut, which apparently removes a lot of that. So I'm very glad I didn't watch that.
So the guy's got shot, and the guy who had the silencer picks up his glasses, cleans them, and puts them on.
Yes, because he's pretending to be... he's not pretending to be him.
No.
And he also wears them for the rest of the film. Yeah. Despite them, I assume...
Maybe he's just lost his glasses.
He's like, close enough.
That is the only possible explanation.
Yeah.
Because he's not the android.
No. So
If it was the android, yeah, okay.
I mean, he puts something on, doesn't he, the android, for all of 5 seconds. We'll get to it.
Okay.
But this guy is in my notes called Glasses Assassin for the rest of the time. So
and then the title Night Siege comes up.
Yes, this is what I said. So it doesn't actually say Project Shadowchaser 2, but everywhere else, including Wikipedia, is Project Shadowchaser 2.
4 different titles.
Or Night Siege, Project Shadowchaser 2, or blah, 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 a couple of variations.
And then we get some kid just hitchhiking down a road.
Yeah.
And he's picked up by this guy in like this sports car who's very cool, driving, swigging at his hip flask.
Yeah,
because that's
I think he's
cool.
got an actual beer, maybe at that point, or maybe not.
I think it's just a hip flask.
Just a hip flask. Yeah.
And he's like, the kid's like, I need to get to Raycon nuclear base, and the guy's like, that's fortunate, I'm going there too. And it's like,
they don't have a conversation about why they're both going there. Yeah. Maybe they do off screen, but we don't see it to keep a bit of a and then we go to Raycon nuclear base. There's a lot of cutting back and forth in this early bit.
And we've got 2 scientists with the classic like nuclear stuff. They put their arms in the big like rubber things and they're playing with some nuclear stuff.
Yeah, and one of them is the woman who's Laurie. And the other one is this old man who then starts to kind of feel faint.
They need to be really careful, and then he
just starts like dropping it, and they're like, oh.
She catches the thing with like some tweezers that he was holding. Yeah. But then a big alarm goes off, and everyone's kind of panicking. And she's like, "Turn the alarm off! Turn the alarm off!"
And she has to do like voice recognition.
Yeah. So she goes up to the door and is like, "Laurie Webber, open the door," and they're like, "Voice not recognized," and she goes, "Oh, fuck off," and the door opens, and I'm like, what?
Maybe that's more like her personality is just like...
Yeah, but like, if that's the voice command, then...
I don't think that's the voice command.
Then why did it work?
I don't know. I think she's... I don't know.
One of many, many flaws in this film.
We go back to the kid in the convertible. They're talking about something about his dad leaving or something.
No, so the guy who we find out is called Kevin, and the kid is called Ricky.
The guy is called Frank. He's not called Kevin.
He is called Frank. He's called Kevin. I've written Kevin for half my notes. No. He's Frank.
He's called Frank Mead.
Frank Mead, yeah. And Ricky, who's the kid.
Yeah.
And
Ricky, I was like, who the fuck is Kevin?
Ricky's like, he's like drinking his hip flask, and the kid's like, no, you shouldn't do that. It could kill you.
Right.
And the guy's like, oh, playing this stuff could kill you. And then the kid's like, that killed my dad. And it's like, oh sorry.
That's awkward. Right, I kind of missed that bit because I was thinking about how they're doing a Terminator 2 and this kid is going to be a main character.
Yeah.
And I was kind of...
He even like looks like the kid in Terminator
exactly
2.
The same as whatever he's called, John Connor, but I don't know what the actual fucking actor's called.
Yeah. He looks like, as well, who's that famous child actor?
Corey Feldman?
Yes.
Yeah.
He looks a bit like a young Corey Feldman.
I think John Connor and Corey Feldman were friends.
Right.
Edward Furlong.
Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't expect to recognise that name, but I do.
Yeah. Let me see if he's friends with...
this kid?
Edward Furlong. What was he called? What was the other guy called?
Corey Feldman. Important stuff here.
Nothing comes up. Oh no, they were in a film together, but it was in 2013. So
okay.
They both just kind of hit the same.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this lorry turns up at the nuclear base, and the driver is
Glasses Assassin.
Yeah. Okay. And he's like, the guy's like, you're not the usual guy. And he's like, he's on holiday. It's Christmas.
This is the whole thing. Why is he wearing the glasses? Because he does, he kind of looked like the other guy.
Yeah.
Like, very slightly. But
and then people go check the back of the lorry and it's just boxes.
Yeah.
So they let him in because, it's only a nuclear base.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We might as well talk about it now. It's really unclear about what they do because it seems initially like it's a nuclear power plant. But then we see that there are missiles there, and there's some missiles that are secret, but some that they're aware of. And then there's surface-to-air missiles, and the downstairs looks like Austin Powers James Bond base.
Lots of people don't know what else is going on.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the main people don't know about other parts of the base.
I think a lot of the main people maybe just work in nuclear research, and then it's like there's projects, but I mean, they don't have to explain it, but it was a little confusing in this first act.
But yeah, then the car with Frank and Ricky.
Jason, Ricky. I was going to say Justin.
They're driving along.
This is when he says, I used to play for the Dodgers.
Yeah, and he's like, what? I haven't heard of you. He's like, oh, I did my shoulder in. And I was like, oh, the classic every PE teacher in England. Yeah. I could have been professional, and then my knee got hurt.
I mean, do you think it's a bullshit thing? Because he says something at the very end as well.
He says something else, yeah.
But the thing at the end is more seen throughout the film. It's to do with his fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He says something about kickboxing world championships, and it's like, oh, okay.
I think he's just a bullshit.
Because
surely he couldn't be part of the kickboxing world championships if his shoulder was dodgy and he couldn't play baseball.
Maybe he was doing both at the same time, and then
I suppose kickboxing it's more kicking and baseball's throwing.
He does a hell of a lot of kicking in this
film. Boy, does he.
But the other thing is, I kept thinking, right, that's Chekhov's baseball reference, and he's gonna like throw a grenade or something. I don't think he throws a single thing in this film. No.
Does anybody throw anything?
I mean, I wasn't really like doing a checklist of people throwing objects in this film, to be honest. There's some grenade launchers under guns.
Yeah.
Some missiles get fired.
That's not.
People are hit with things.
Yeah. Maybe, so yeah, they get to the nuclear facility as well, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Frank."
Yeah, she's like Laurie is like, oh no, yeah. They think I thought he was a scientist at this point because he's let in as if he's just a normal guy.
And it's like a Christmas party, and like the big boss comes in.
Yeah, so basically after the incident with the old man almost fainting, Laurie's gone to the boss to have a go at him about conditions.
Yeah, and he's like, look, you're in charge here. This is all your responsibility if stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'll replace you.
Right, yeah. And then she says they're working like 12 to 16-hour days.
Yeah.
Because they're in this crunch of dismantling stuff. Even though the deadline we heard is for Cobra, and they've got like a week left for that. If it was 3 weeks.
I don't think it's the only thing she's working on something else.
She's working on other stuff. And the old man was really tired. I can't remember what he's called, like John or something. And that's why.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea why he just starts like wiggling his arms.
But it's because they're overworked. And then she's like, we're overworked, and he blows smoke. He's smoking and blows smoke in her face.
Yeah. Oh, they mention as well this guy who I think is called Hutton, who's like the creepy kind of guy.
Yeah. Who's like the computer nerd.
He's a computer nerd, but he also is like the cokehead businessman in Die Hard.
Yes.
He's that kind of character where he kind of like plays both sides and all that. But she mentions him, and she's like, he's kind of stopping stuff from getting changed and done. And she implies that he's like a bit of a plant from the higher ups or something like that. He's kind of shaking things up, and there's an unhappy work environment basically.
Yeah. But then we go back to the murder scene.
Yeah.
The toilet, and there's police there. And one of them's like, what do you know? And the forensic guy's like, I think he's dead.
It's the classic like coroner who's like eating food at the crime scene or like at the body. And the police guy, for a second, I thought it was Michael Madsen from like the Tarantino. Do you see what I mean? Like, a little bit. I mean, Michael Madsen was never super attractive, but like, you know, a little bit less handsome than him, maybe a little bit more overweight.
Yeah,
like, maybe more like Michael Madsen, like closer to now. But I literally thought it was him, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I had to pause it. I looked up, and I couldn't find him on the list, and I was like, and then I carried on playing, and it's very clearly not him from a different angle. But he's called like Leary or something. O'Hara, yeah, I didn't write his name down. He's the local police chief, or
he's the sheriff of this town.
Yeah, sheriff of the town.
But yeah, then we go back to the Christmas party, and Ricky and Frank walk in, and we find out that Ricky is Laurie's son.
Yeah, Ricky's Laurie's son, and Frank, who she calls Mead, is someone that she doesn't particularly get on with.
Yeah, and then she's a bit pissed off that he was drinking whilst she was driving his kid around.
Yeah, and I think because I guess there's this history of either alcoholism or accidents or whatever in the family, she's got a bit of a thing against that. But also he has been caught drinking at work a lot.
Yeah, and the kid kind of went there on his own regard. She didn't know he was coming.
Yeah,
he was just like, I'm going to go to my mum's party.
I think what's probably happened is that the father's passed away and they haven't got a very good relationship. She works a lot, and there's a lot of stuff of like, we're going to get to know each other over Christmas. And there's a line where she almost says that exactly at
the end. She does say that at the end.
And it's very like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really land. I thought at this point that the guy who plays Mead was looking very handsome. I think it was quite an attractive guy.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, compared to like the guy in the last one was kind of lumpy.
He was lumpy. Yeah, she sends...
He's got a kind of like Brendan Fraser kind of look from that era.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
I mean, he's got the same kind of like that Nathan Drake kind of top that gets unbuttoned here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Kind of action hero of the era, I suppose.
But, yeah, she sends him to go fix something and then walks away, and he very loudly goes, nice ass. And she's like, what did you say?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I was just complimenting you.
He doesn't even try and like...
and she fires him. She's like, go fix that thing and then get out of here.
Clear up. And the security guard, who's called like Jim or something like that, is just like watching because he's sitting at his desk, and they both just like shrug their shoulders to each other.
He's
like, women, what are you gonna do?
You can't even give them a compliment these
can't
days.
Even compliment their butts.
But then Laurie and Ricky leave.
Yeah.
And they've kind of made up because he's a bit upset that like
she was working on Christmas.
She's working, yeah. But she is like, oh, I've got you a present. We'll get it when we get back.
Yeah.
And then she's like, get something out the back of the car that's not there. She's like, oh, I've forgotten something. I'll have to go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this point,
why did they even have to leave?
They were going to go home.
But like for plot reasons.
Because they were supposed to not be there because everyone thinks they've left already.
Oh, yeah.
They've almost like, they checked out kind of thing. She also does like, give me 5. We're going to like be cool. And it's like, it's very cringy.
Yeah. And then we get Hutton, this computer guy who's like in like a side room with this big box.
He's like trying to open it. And there's loads of crates have been delivered, like 6 crates.
Which came from that lorry that turned up.
Not Laurie in the car with Ricky.
The truck.
Laurie and Laurie.
And a guy walks in and is like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's a special delivery. And this guy's like suspicious and he's like, I'll open it. And he like gets it open and a hand reaches out and shoots him.
Just like a gun's just like boom.
And it's like, I wonder if Hutton would have been shot. But this is like, oh, this Hutton is a bad guy.
Dodgy Dave. At this point, I've written in my notes that there is a lot of stuff happening before any plots. So we are kind of 15 or so minutes in here.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that part there with some just before that when they're in the car. It's just like, come on, get on with it. The pacing in this.
Where's my boy Romulus?
I know, yeah. Literally, it's fucking ages. I've got a note here.
But yeah, then we get out of these crates, I imagine, is a group of like armed bad guys.
Yeah, they're all wearing black and they've got
like Die Hard.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly I'm pretty sure they all wear black outfits pretty much.
Yeah. I feel like this film is almost even more Die Hard than the first one was.
Somehow, and the thing is, all the terrorists have like. Thing is, they're all designed to be unique. There's like a guy with a beard. There's a guy with kind of a Rambo mullet. There's a woman, and then there's like the guy with the glasses.
Yeah,
but despite them all looking very different, they have no personality at all.
They're all pretty interchangeable,
and they're very, very. And there's another one as well, but. Yeah, they go into the main control room. That's like a kind of nuclear control room thing.
Yeah,
they just start shooting.
It's very much like in Star Wars, A New Hope, when they're addressed as stormtroopers, Han and Luke, and shoot everyone, and they're like, "Is everything okay down there?" And Han's like, "Yeah, everything's fine."
They actually have that, don't they, basically.
Yeah, how are you? That kind of setup, but a bit bigger.
Yeah, like a kind of like. crossroads meeting from different corridors kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, they shoot all the people there.
And everyone dies really, really dramatically.
Really dramatically.
Like proper arms flying up in the air, like riddled with
There's
bullets.
a lot of slow motion in this.
So much slow motion. And I'm
surprised that it didn't come up with Zack Snyder's name at the end of the amount of slow motion.
But yeah, it's just these people literally just flinging themselves in the air.
Yeah, like jumping onto each other. There's a woman who's pinned under a dead body and she's like, ah, and then she gets shot really close up. And then for some reason they do something and the power starts like flickering a bit.
Yeah, I think they shoot something down there.
Right, okay,
Yeah, and it starts flashing and the security cameras go.
Right.
And more people are getting shot.
Yeah.
But 2 managed to escape and I was like, oh, we got some survivors.
Oh yeah, so I think those guys are, so it's a lady and it's the beardy man who passed out.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah.
And they're walking down like a corridor towards the main bit or whatever, and then a guy just turns up, starts shooting, hits her quite badly, and then the beardy boy pulls her away.
Yeah,
and they kind of hide for most of the film, don't they? Really?
Yeah. But
then the radio does get called, like you said.
Yeah,
like in Star Wars, and the glasses assassin, he answers in his American accent, and then afterwards is like, haha, in like a German, Russian kind of accent.
Yeah.
Evil terrorist voice.
But Laurie then like goes through the party and goes downstairs to get the thing that she'd left behind.
Yeah. But she also, I think she's also checking on the lights maybe as well.
Yeah.
At this point, it's not really very clear.
And
Frank.
I was going to call him Larry.
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Frank is like fixing something.
He's fixing it, but he's like drinking, and he's saying like, I think he's drinking like Jack Daniels because he's like, Jack, you're my only friend.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you didn't leave me.
And then one of these bad guys turn up and he's like, whoa, you startled me there.
Yeah. For some reason, they have this whole conversation with the terrorist like, are you alone?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Who are you?
Yeah. Like, what? And then this guy, like, they're kind of chatting. He's kind of got him chatting, and then he's like 20 yards away and pulls out his gun and starts shooting. I'm like, you could have got a lot closer.
And he's half behind a pipe.
Yeah.
Like fixing this big pipe thing.
And
he assumes, the terrorist assumes
he kind of falls back. But then Laurie finds the special delivery and just sees lots of these unopened crates.
Right. Okay.
And it's like, what's this then?
Right, I see.
And then the 2 survivors, the woman and the old guy, get into a lift. They just about escape a bad guy and get into a lift and go up.
And then when is it that Laurie has the thing fall down?
Now.
Dead body falls down. I guess it was the guy who opened the crate, has been stashed away. Maybe.
Yeah.
He just falls down on top of her.
Yeah, which is like, what is this? Is this Alien?
Yeah,
like why have they hung him up?
There's quite a few bits where people are jumping down from things. At least 2 more bits, and she gets blood all over her chest region, so she's got nice
literally
big red
just red bits on her boobs.
Her boobs are. She falls back into a puddle. I think gets blood on one hand, the other one. And she starts grabbing her boobs so that she's got nice kind of round shapes on her chest.
Yeah.
Despite all this action happening, my note here mentions that 21 minutes in, there's not really much tension. I was kind of just going along with the motions. It's quite entertaining, but
yeah, I was very much waiting for stuff to happen.
Shadowchaser himself.
Yeah, pretty much. She discovers the control room. And meanwhile, Ricky is chatting to the security guard. And he's like, "Oh, Jim. She's gonna be so long."
He's like, if she even remembers to come back, he's got like a real. She might have like left him at school a couple of times. It's got that kind of vibe that she's.
She radios security and it's like, "No time to explain. Send people." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "No time to explain." And it's like,
and he's just like,
and like, she could have been like, dead people. People have been killed.
People have been murdered.
It doesn't take that long to say.
She's just like, Jim,
and she's like, "No time to explain. You don't even know what's happened. What are you going to be explaining? There's dead people here. They're all been shot.
No time to explain to what death is to a 40-year-old man."
And then
finally we have
this bit. So it's again like this door slowly opens.
It's the elevator door, but for some reason there's the brightest light
and we get
it.
all these people at this Christmas party slowly turning around.
The first
one
guy
by
we
one,
see is just like, oh!
They're all so shocked at this light.
Because it's so
and they're just like, what? And these extras did not get paid much for this.
Oh, there's a part actually that we missed that before we get into this very funny part here and funny and cool part when the lights are like when the lights are flickering and then they get like a call from downstairs and they're like, don't worry, there's nothing to worry about from the glasses assassin. Yeah. Like this guy who's like mid through drinking gets told that it's okay and he goes, okay, good. And then just starts like dancing.
I think I missed that.
He has his drink. He's the worst actor. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, all these people are just looking shocked at this light. And then it's revealed, it's your boy Romulus back again. He survived. He's not called Romulus. He's not called Shadowchaser in this, but all my notes say Romulus.
I only remembered he was called Romulus about halfway through the film. But I've got Shadowchaser is finally here, and
Joe, what?
He's topless.
He's topless. When he steps in, I was just like, yes. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I'm well on board for this. Like, yes.
At this point as well, it's actually not clear if he's topless or naked, because I think in the first one he was naked at the start, wasn't he?
Oh yeah,
we do see his trousers, a little bit. But
yeah, and all these people come out and start shooting at the party. And it's all in slow motion.
It's all in slow motion.
And people
it's long.
again, dramatically being riddled with bullets and fall. We get one guy dressed as Father Christmas jump into a Christmas tree, and we get two different angles of the Christmas tree falling.
It's very good. And Jim, the security guard that we came to know and love for all of 25 minutes, is shot while he's on the phone to because she's like, no, get Ricky out of there, and then he's like, boo, 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 boo.
And like Romulus is just walking through with an extremely broad chest.
He looks way more muscly than the last one. I swear, it's been 2 years since the last one. He's fucking ripped.
And he's just walking through as all this gunfire's going on around him.
And then this is what I was saying. He's definitely more insane this time.
Yeah.
The first one he was kind of straight, like he was quite.
Yeah, he was just like a Terminator kind of.
And it turned out in the first one he was a pawn of the bad guy, and he didn't really have any kind of agency.
Whereas this time he's the leader.
He's more like a supervillain kind of thing.
Yeah,
isn't he?
and then he like pulls this really weird over the top face of like a really scarily big grin and wide eyes.
It's like a shark or like the Joker or something.
And then just starts firing. Like he never pulled that face in the first one.
No, and this is what I was saying earlier. Once everyone's dead, he picks up a party hat from the floor, puts it on his head and looks like at the camera and goes, Merry Christmas.
It's like, Merry Christmas.
And then he just takes it off and then walks back up. And then the shot of him walking away is so long because it's in slow motion.
Yeah.
Still.
I like to think that Romulus knows he's in a film.
Yeah, it very much feels like it. There are some quite cool shots so we've got the ceiling is all mirrored, and I think it's just before he does the Merry Christmas bit.
As he's walking through, you can
see the ceiling as well. And
you can see like the dead bodies.
Loads of dead bodies in it. Like you can see the blood kind of highlighted and stuff.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
Yeah, but then we find out Frank is still knocking about.
And he was shot in his hip flask.
Yeah, classic.
Which what a surprise! And then we get Hutton just doing some computer hacking or something.
Yeah, he's doing a bit of like as if he's playing baseball. He's like steps up to the pitch, whatever, while he's hacking.
Yeah,
doing a bit of commentary.
It's like, it's the bottom of the ninth, and all
that's it. Yeah, and the security lockdown is on, so that everyone's locked in, which is classic this kind of film.
Yeah,
and Cobra is online.
It's like, and then meanwhile the police have arrived outside.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
No, we don't know. And also there's also like this Fed guy who I think is maybe the guy from the limo, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And also like a general is there as well.
Yeah.
It's just everyone that's in the crisis.
The sheriff.
And Sheriff O'Leary.
Horror.
Damn it. I thought I had it the right way this time.
O'Hara.
Okay.
And Romulus says to his henchmen, kill all survivors, get the bodies out the way.
Right, okay.
So it's kind of like he's very brutal.
Yeah. And then we see Ricky walking through all the bodies because he sees when Jim gets killed, he like falls down in front of him and it's very like traumatic. And he's walking through all these bodies and we've got like Silent Night playing and it's very kind of like, oh, traumatic, sad kind of thing.
And then we get outside, the Sheriff O'Hara is kind of clashing with the military people.
Yeah, he's asking about like what Cobra is, and they say, "Oh, it's classified." Blah, blah, blah.
And then the military get in contact with Romulus.
Yeah,
and Romulus, because he's seen Die Hard, says, "I want you to release these two freedom fighters."
Yeah.
Because I saw Die Hard, and that's what the villain did in Die Hard.
Thing. And it's almost like a joke because they play it off very quickly.
Yeah.
But he's demanding the release, and he says these names of people who I don't think are real because they like laugh about it afterwards.
Or no, I kind of got the impression it was like the really equivalent of saying like release Osama bin Laden kind of thing.
And I thought at this point, like, is he a puppet? Is the glasses guy not Hutton, not the glasses assassin? They both got glasses.
Yeah.
Is he like the mastermind? No, it's not the case at all.
Yeah.
And then he does his big threat, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, they're like, we don't negotiate with terrorists. And it's like, cool, if you don't negotiate, I'm going to nuke Washington.
Yeah, basically, in 6 hours.
Yeah.
And we find out from the kind of feds that only 2 people have the codes, Mr. Fed and Laurie.
Yeah, because she's in charge of the base.
Even though she doesn't know what Cobra is.
Yeah, but they've also got a nuclear missile there, I think.
And it's just the warhead is in the safe.
Yeah.
Which is okay. That makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah.
So when they talk about codes, she's got launch codes, but also
the door codes.
Yeah, just codes. And yeah, this is when they kind of, the Hutton guy is like, haha, where did you get that from? Haha. And he's like, about the release of the freedom fighters.
Oh,
so it's almost as if Romulus just like freeballed it.
Romulus is aware of pop culture in this film, weirdly.
Yeah.
In the first film, he's just a killing machine.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with him in the next. I mean, I know what they do with him in the fourth one because I read the description.
Don't tell me.
It's wild. It's wild. I'm really excited for it.
Don't tell me. Don't even give me a clue. I'm not even going to look at the description before.
No, don't. Definitely don't. Because yeah.
Man, I'm excited.
Should we just do it next week?
We got to do number 3 first.
Yeah.
But I would be up for doing it soon. Oh man, this is the series that this podcast was made for.
Well, then we have to leave it make it last longer then.
We could do Project Shadowchaser Revisited, episode 100.
I was thinking it would be funny to go back to our notes from an episode without rewatching it and see how much we can remember to recap.
Oh, that would be fun.
Like do like Dinosaur Project for episode 100. And just try and recap it based on our notes. I don't know if that would be anything at all, but it might be a fun like bonus thing.
I'll have to find my notes, but
shit,
definitely doable.
I could just use my notes to describe it.
Yeah, that was back in the day when I did everything in a notepad.
Is it the same original notepads?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I could.
Yeah, you've got it somewhere.
We've got a long time. We're a third of the way there.
maybe earlier than 100.
Episode 50.
Maybe on the year anniversary.
A year anniversary. That could be quite fun. But anyway, Ricky is spotted by some bad guys and runs. They like shoot at him. He hides, and they're like trying to hunt him down.
Yeah,
and he's had this whole time a baseball, and a catching mitt.
Yes.
Because as we discovered when we watched the Adam Project, every kid in America has a catching mitt and a baseball.
If you're a boy.
Yeah. Particularly if you've lost your father, because it's a sign that you don't play catch with your father anymore.
That is absolutely spot on, isn't it? It's a sad reminder of the loss that you experienced recently in childhood.
Because you can't play catch anymore, and that's the only thing American boys do.
Yeah, and they're just kind of mourning it by slapping it melancholily into their fists.
Anyway, Ricky drops the ball.
And they're also playing with the baseball as well.
Oh no. Ricky drops the ball by dropping the ball.
Yes.
And the armed guy spots him.
Yeah. But then he doesn't try to shoot him immediately. No. He's got a bit of a conscience here.
Oh, he was shooting at him before.
He was shooting him before.
He just decides not to shoot him.
He can shoot him. Well, when he was shooting him when he was running away, he was doing that thing they do in the last film where they just shoot everywhere. They just try and hit every pipe, every wall that's in the way. And then when he has a clear shot, he goes, "Well, actually, I don't have the guts to shoot a kid."
But he grabs the kid, but then
Frank Mead, he just leaps out from behind a plastic
from literally out of nowhere and jumps on this guy, and they fight.
Yes,
they do some punchy.
Frank is so. His fighting skills vary a lot throughout this film because in this first fight, especially, he's not very good at fighting.
Yeah,
he's good at getting beaten up, and I think that's the kind of like Indiana Jones / drunk guy,
like
kind of
Homer when he was a professional boxer in The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly like that. Wear them out.
Yeah.
But he occasionally gets some kind of good hits on him.
Yeah, and he sets this guy on fire.
Well, before that, he gets the other guy gets a butterfly knife out, and it's like, and he's kind of dodging them and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then he kind of opens a valve, doesn't he?
Yeah, it sets on fire, and then they do some more punchy.
It's quite cool because it's a guy on fire.
It makes no sense that he's still fighting.
No,
on fire.
He's still fighting, and then he jump kicks him a few times, and one of the times
he smashes through the glass that we saw at the beginning where the old guy fainted.
Yeah. But Frank also smashed him.
Yeah, I guess earlier. From the other side.
Yeah. So he's probably got some
I didn't take too much notes.
Irradiation. They're both irradiated now.
Unless the radiation goes down when there's nothing in there. Because they did take the box out. She gave it to Hunter. Yeah. But yeah, then the Frank
Hutton.
What?
Hunter.
Oh, honestly, so far in this film I haven't written any names.
I've actually got Ricky and Frank in my next bit here. So,
wait, at this point I've got Kid and Ricky are walking. I've
learned the Kid and Ricky.
Oh yeah, shit. Frank and Ricky are walking.
Yeah, they're like buddied up now, and Frank's being like, "Oh, well done for." Oh no, Ricky's like, "Thanks for saving me" or whatever. And
yeah. And Laurie goes to this voice-activated door that she went to before.
Yeah.
Opens up a hatch next to it and pulls something out.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a fuse, but it's a chip, apparently.
Yeah.
It's like a voice modulation chip or processor.
It's what they use to get your voice through, find out.
Before that bit, when Ricky and Frank are walking along, Frank's like, "Oh, what happened? Why did you come back?" And he's like, "Oh, we had to come back." And he's like, "Is your mum here too?" And it's like, no, he came back on his own in the middle of the night.
He just hitchhiked
again just to come. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Pointless dialogue.
But yeah, Laurie pulling out that chip sets off the intruder alert to the control room.
Yeah, creepy.
And she pulls something else and puts it in her like locket necklace.
Yeah. I think that's the modulator. The voice thing. Yeah. And then what happens here?
So
suddenly the lights
go off because the intruder alert.
I think they said like, "Oh, we're gonna go get her," kind of thing.
Yeah. And she's then like walking through this room, but it's like pitch black. And
the
creepiest man in the film, he's got like night vision goggles, so he can see her, but she can't see him, and we can see it through the night vision.
Yeah.
And he's like, he put in his hands like close to her but not touching her, and she's like freaking out because she can hear.
And it's all in first person, and it's breathing.
Yeah, it's very horrible.
It's very creepy, and he's like grabbing her hair, and like at one point he's like grabbing her hair and like pulling it.
Yeah,
and then Ricky happens to manage to turn the lights on, and Frank just jumps down from the ceiling.
He does his his
special move,
and
but
jumps
also
on him.
At the same time, how did they plan that? Because the lights were off.
Yeah. But then the night vision guy pulls out some nunchucks.
Oh, this is
and
hilarious.
starts swinging.
Yeah.
And he is strangling Frank with the nunchucks.
Yeah, well, Frank in this fight is much better at fighting, and he does some like judo flips and stuff, which I guess are probably kickboxing things, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, he's getting strangled, and then Ricky jumps in. And Frank takes the nunchucks off him.
Yeah.
But then the night vision guy gets an axe.
Yeah, he's got like a little like throwing hatchet thing, hasn't he?
And then they do some punchies.
Yeah, Frank's now using the nunchucks. He's swinging them round and he beats the shit out of the guy. And then he does like a knee jump finish, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he kicks him like off the edge of this like banister, and
yeah,
we think he's fallen, but he's actually just holding on.
Yeah, and they have like a little debrief. They're like, thanks for saving me.
He pulls back up, and then Frank turns and throws this axe right into his like forehead.
Yeah, and then he falls off, and he's like, ah.
And then I've got written here, guy is called Frank. My notes up to here, he's just Guy.
Yeah, I had him down as Mead for a while because she calls him Mead, and then I just thought I'll go on the IMDb and find out what he's called.
Yes, and I've also written Romulus is just an android in this. He's not Romulus. Because I had to go on Wikipedia and check what Frank's name was because it started to annoy me.
Yeah, then Hutton, whatever he's called, is he's trying to use a voice recording of that bit at the start
where she's like, "Fucking open the door."
Fucking open the
door. Hutton's not Hutton yet in my notes.
No, he's creepy on mine.
He's Hacker.
Okay.
But yeah, Laurie, Frank, and Ricky are chilling.
Yeah,
like debriefing. And Romulus realizes the voice processing chip is gone.
Yes, yeah. They realised that from when the thing.
And this is where I stopped watching last night.
Oh, really? Wow!
And came back and watched it today.
That was. I've got a lot of notes after that.
Oh yeah, like I really wanted to carry on watching it because I was quite enjoying it.
Okay.
But I was getting tired, so I was like,
yeah,
I
did the opposite.
I don't want to fall asleep.
I think just as you finished watching it, I started watching it and didn't finish till like 12:15, and then had to settle down for bed and get up at like.
Also,
7.
last night was the first night I've slept in a bed in like a week, so I was quite looking forward to actually going to bed.
Yeah.
Christina's had COVID. I was sleeping on the sofa, and I haven't really slept more than 6 hours for a week. So I was like, yes, a full night's sleep in a bed. Oh, today I felt great.
I'm gonna sleep so well tonight. I'm so tired. I had 2 coffees before recording.
Oh god. But yeah, then Hutton and Romulus are like having an argument, and Hutton's like having a go at Romulus, and I was like, that's not a smart move.
No, yeah.
And Romulus like lifts him up by his neck and is like strangling him.
Yeah. Is that? Yeah. I don't remember that.
It's not very quick.
And then we see the old guy and the woman who got shot are hiding in an office. Have you got a bit before that?
It's just Frank and Laurie realise that Ricky still has the security radio on him. And
because it starts like making a noise in his jacket or whatever. I think he's got like a 90s vest on, hasn't he? Like a denim vest or something like that.
But then we got these 2 survivors who, in my notes, are just 2 survivors.
I have old guy and shot woman.
And the old guy's like, I'm gonna go get help.
Yeah,
she's like dying.
She's so sweaty, like she's about to die. She's like lying
like
on
I
him.
am next to this radiator.
I'm hot as well. Fucking hell. I'm the other side of the room. You have a look to see if you can turn it down.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm gonna go get help. As the door opens, Shadowchaser himself,
Romulus,
is there, just immediately chokes him, holds him in the air, Darth Vader style.
Holds him against the wall. It's like, where is the voice processor chip?
And she says something.
She's like,
he just fucking shoots her to
and
death.
Joe, I was like, the fact that these 2 escaped, got up a lift, and then I was like, they're gonna do something. I thought these 2 and then when he just shoots it, I was kind of like, fuck yeah, I like that. Like, none of these bloody tropes or anything. Oh yeah, she's gonna die. The bad guy's there. Yeah, just kill her.
And he says to the old guy, like, where's the chip? And he's like, fuck you. And then he snaps his neck and goes, wrong answer.
Yeah. Oh, I do like Romulus. He's my boy. But yes, the police are outside and they've realised that Laurie is inside because they thought Laurie was at home.
Yeah, because they get an emergency transmission from her, and then they do the classic like horror movie. It's coming from inside the building, but they just do it. Again, it's just a reference, I think, because it's just an offhand thing.
Yeah, and then
this is when we find out Frank's the janitor, because she's like, I'm with the drunken janitor or something.
I'm my kid, and they kind of explain the situation to each other, and they're like, okay, we need to get you out partly because like they want to save her, but more because she knows the codes and they don't want her to fall into Romulus's hands.
And she's got she says, let's just say I've got the key. And it's like, don't say that on the radio, because it next cuts to Romulus looking at the radio and he's like, cool.
And she says like, almost as if she's saying it in code. Yeah. Oh, I've got the key.
Let's just say I've got the key. It's like, I think we can figure out what that is. Yeah.
And Romulus says to his men, I want her alive, kill the other two.
Yeah.
And then Laurie's at a computer and she's looking up Cobra to find out what it is.
She's
and then
like,
she explains
a snake with a hooded neck.
It's basically a super nuke, right?
It is a multi-headed neutron bomb that is capable of destroying entire countries.
Yeah, they basically like a nuke can destroy a city, this can destroy a country. It's a super nuke and it's in the vault.
Yes, the warhead is in the vault.
And she had no idea it was there.
No, which is weird because she does have the code for the vault.
Yeah.
So,
and it's one of only 2 people to have the code.
And the other guy doesn't work there.
And he
doesn't work there at all.
And they're currently dismantling it. Who is dismantling it?
She hasn't got to it yet, and she's only got 7 days left. That's why she's at work still. But she didn't know that she was supposed to do it. I think there's some memo has been lost.
Fucked up.
The president's going to be saying, Laurie, whatever your name is, Harriet, whatever she's called. Weber. I was going to say Laurie Strode, but she's from Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis. Laurie Strode. I mean, they're pretty much the same character, really.
Yeah.
But, anyway, president's going to be on the line, Boxing Day, saying, we need you back at work. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Leave the turkey.
But anyway, the police and military realise that missiles have been activated.
What are they called? The SAMs.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
The SAMs are being activated.
Oh no, what have you done?
Surface to air missiles, SAMs.
Right. And they're being aimed at a commercial plane that's flying by.
That's right, yeah.
And Romulus says on the radio that the clock is ticking.
Yeah, he's like really not happy that nothing's happened.
Yeah, the military guy's like, we're the United States. You can't do this to us. We're gonna kill you or whatever.
We're gonna get you, maybe.
And then Romulus is like, I don't like being threatened. And we find out there's 337 passengers on this. And
this is super dark.
We get lingering shots of all the passengers. There's like an old woman. There's like kids playing with like toys.
Yeah, they're all on the way home for Christmas. And is it Hutton like calls using the airline control thing? And he's like, oh, just airline traffic control.
I think it's actually the glasses assassin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he calls up the plane.
And then he's linked in, like, the other the police, so they can hear it, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, just confirming how many people you've got. And it's like 330 women, men, and children on their way home for Christmas.
Very packed at this time of year.
And it feels like the kind of thing, like, I think it's in Die Hard 2. There's a whole thing where Bruce Willis's wife is on a plane and she's one of the planes that like almost crashes.
Oh, yeah.
And her whole story is she's on the plane. And
it's all set in an airport, isn't it?
Yeah, and it feels like it's going to be that. And I think that's coming home for Christmas as well.
Mm.
It feels like it's going to be this ongoing thing, but no, it kind of gets resolved in its own way.
Yeah, Romulus then shoots the missiles and it hits the plane and there's an explosion. But doesn't it kill everyone?
No.
They're then slowly going down for ages and all these people are panicking.
Yeah, it got lots of shots of the inside, like kids screaming, like holding their mums.
People like hugging each other and then the plane explodes.
Yeah, like full on.
And it's like, fuck, that's 337 people dead.
Yeah.
Plus like pilots and crew.
Yeah, so like 350 probably.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah. And then
the military's like, I think we're gonna have to tell the president. And it's like, yeah, I think you
should have told him when there was the threat. The thing is, in the first one, the president's daughter was kidnapped. Fair enough.
Yeah,
there was no real threat. I don't think.
No.
It was just, we're going to kill the president's daughter.
Did the president get killed at the end of the first one?
Well, he got killed, but he was like a life model decoy.
Oh, yeah.
And then the real president turned up at the end.
Do you reckon it's the same president?
I was hoping he was
I was hoping we'd see him. So, because he doesn't turn up, I think we can assume it's the same president.
Yeah.
In which case, he knows Romulus.
He's like, fuck's sake.
They should have got him involved a bit earlier.
They should have sent another live model decoy in of the president.
Right. Hey, Romulus, it's me again, remember?
Also, did Romulus didn't realise he was a LMD, did he? I know he's not an LMD, because he can, like, scan in this one.
Oh, yeah, and his, like, vision is, like, negative.
But it's not all the time, because when he scans for the chip, it's normal. And then when he's angry, it goes very confusing. Yeah, then they're basically the three main characters. Laurie...
Hutton locates where they are.
Yes, yeah, he sees using a scanner thing. And I think Romulus goes after them. Anyway, they're like, they're walking along with their guns.
The rest of my notes say Kevin, so I'm very sorry if I say Kevin repeatedly.
That's fine. Well, I'll call him Frank. You can call him Kevin. But they're walking along, and it's very like.
And Kevin's figured out where Cobra is being kept.
With this part, I watched Stranger Things season 3 recently, and there's stuff.
For this part, you watched Stranger
Things. There's
Things.
stuff in a facility where they're kind of sneaking through, and it feels very much like this.
Right.
And I guess that's an intentional kind of this is of its era, secret base, normal people trap kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Shadowchaser himself, Romulus, drops down. He's like the third or fourth people to drop down. At this
They
point.
love this move.
He drops down and is just like there with a gun. Doesn't fire at
because
them.
Romulus, as we know from the first one, prefers chasing than killing.
Shadowchaser.
Yeah. He just loves running after them.
And also, I think he doesn't want to kill Laurie. That's the plot reason.
Yeah.
And they're all running together. Anyway, they run a whole length of corridor and he just walks after them.
Yeah.
Very Terminator style.
And Kevin shoots at him and it's just like bouncing off him.
And he's proper swaying, like one of those bubble things. He's going, whoa, 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 whoa.
I couldn't tell if he was being hit or if he was dodging.
I think he was getting hit. I don't think he was dodging. Or like Matrix style
and then
dodging.
he pulls his face again, the big grin, wide eyes, and starts shooting.
It's a very different like take on the character.
And Kevin runs and Romulus follows.
Yeah, and then they end up on like this gantry thing, and I think there's another terrorist coming the other way.
Yeah, he's like cornered them essentially.
And suddenly Ricky just like flies off the side. I think he leans on the barrier.
I'd love to know. Like, this is what, an hour and a half film. How many minutes you see somebody in the air? Or people just falling and jumping?
20 minutes at least. Because in this bit, he falls and is holding on to this thing.
He's like,
and then the other two just fly off as well. I think the gantry doesn't even fall off.
I think they're like, this is the only way out. And
they like fly off because it looks like they're dead for like 2 seconds.
But they've landed on like a big soft thing.
There's just a big stump pad at the bottom covered in cables. And then Ricky's hanging off this thing and they're just shouting at him, Ricky, jump! Ricky, jump!
But Ricky has spotted on the gantry.
Does Ricky see it then?
I think so. He spots that the necklace has fallen off and is on the gantry. So I think he's thinking, I'll go up, get it, and then I'll jump off.
Is he climbing up then?
I don't think so.
Romulus is pulling him up, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he grabs him.
Romulus just grabs him, and Kevin and Laurie run. Whilst getting
they just leave.
And a guy's got the grenade launcher you were talking about earlier, and it does a very dramatic explosion, and they jump dramatically. Away,
yeah. And then Shadowchaser does his Romulus Shadowchaser detects the chip.
Yeah, I think he spots
the
Ricky looking at it,
right?
And it's like, oh yeah,
he does a scan. It's like voice recognition chip,
and it comes up in the classic computer font.
Yeah,
voice. Yeah, the inhibitor chip.
This part, it's not in negative coloring.
Yeah, so I think maybe she gets a headache later. It's because of that.
Because he goes like a bit loopy, but he's already clearly
But then police then radio Laurie.
And for some reason,
O'Hara.
That's what I was gonna say that time. O'Hara. He knows that Romulus is a robot.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anyone say that yet, have we?
Does Laurie not tell him
No. He goes, oh, you won't kill that guy. He's a robot. And then she says to the Fed guy who takes the mic, he's like, we're trying to fight a robot.
Yeah.
Not really.
And the
clear.
police are kind of moaning at them in very Die-Hard style
they're
of
like,
getting in the
you
way.
bloody cowboys.
And Laurie's like,
around.
"You're idiots!" Like, and she's like, "What's going on here? Tell us the truth."
Yeah.
And they're like, "It doesn't concern you."
What? Yeah.
And then Kevin,
he just grabs it.
And he's pissed. He's like, "Excuse me, we're like being hunted and shot at. I think this very much concerns us." He's like, "Maybe you've got something to do with it."
Yeah, I didn't hear what he said there because the guy's like, "I don't know what you're implying there," and then they just don't follow it up.
He's basically accusing them of being
like the masterminds.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But
because Kevin has seen Project Shadowchaser.
Yes, and we assume that the guy who's working behind the scenes is the mastermind, which they subvert in this one because the Fed is nothing to do with it. One thing that I did notice here is that in the explosion, Frank's sleeves are all but torn off.
Yeah.
And then while he's having the conversation, they just fall off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He has no sleeves at the end of it. So he's got a lovely kind of sleeveless vest situation going on. Sleeveless shirt.
I've got this note. I've written Romulus gets to bring. I don't know what that means.
Mine is baddies have the warheads.
Maybe
Bolts?
Cobra. But also they mention here that Cobra costs $400 million. Earlier in the film, it cost billions.
Maybe the whole thing. Maybe that bomb itself is 400.
Also, if it's a super nuke, that's really cheap. 400 million.
But in 1994.
Yeah, I guess.
Like millions was a lot still.
Yeah.
Then. Well.
Yeah. But anyway, they put Kevin in. They put Ricky in like basically like an airlock.
It's like an airlock sealed chamber thing, which we see periodically is like losing air pressure, and he's just like,
yeah.
But they don't explain that really, which is fine.
I think it's losing like oxygen. They say air pressure, but he's acting like he's losing oxygen.
He's just getting sweatier and kind of sitting down.
Romulus and Hutton have another argument.
Yeah, he's like kind of turning on him a little bit there.
Yeah, and Romulus pulls a gun on him and is like, "Stop being a dick."
This is when I realized he was called Romulus, and this is now I call him Romulus.
Right. He's just android in this film, so it doesn't really matter.
But I realized, and I thought I want to call him Romulus. And I've also called him RSC sometimes for Romulus Shadowchaser.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is quite cool.
So Kevin and Laurie find like a fridge. There's a bottle of Jack Daniels in there. And Kevin's like, just what I needed. And Laurie's like, "Oh, please, I can't do this alone."
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a chat, and he ends up pouring.
He looks like he's gonna drink it, and then he goes, "Oh!" Move the mic. He moves it across and pours it on his wound, and he goes, "Son of a bitch!"
Yeah. And now the military have spoken to the president, and the president has authorized an airstrike, and they're like,
"Yes,
the people inside, it's just a small price to pay." And I'm like, taking a step back.
Yeah.
He's kind of got a point.
Yeah, no, totally.
He said it in an evil way, so you're against it.
Yeah.
But there's literally a super nuke in there.
They say that it won't set off the bomb specifically. Yeah. And I've written here as well, they should just do it.
Yeah.
Like, these three people are not worth.
A super, okay, so if it'll destroy the entire, eastern half of America.
Maybe, we don't know how. It says that the reaction's hard to slow down, I think. So it could just keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe destroy half of the world at most.
I think 3 people is a fair price to pay.
It's 3 plus a little cunt guy with glasses assassin, a couple other people, and a robot.
Yeah.
Also, I'm glad they didn't because we get 2 more films. But if they super nuked Romulus, they might have solved their problem.
That's never an option, though. Super nuking Romulus.
That's true.
They were going to airstrike Romulus.
Yeah, okay.
Which
obviously doesn't work in this one because it's in the next one.
Well,
these are all just they're just individual stories about Romulus.
And
Adventures of Romulus.
Yeah, it's like an anthology series about the life and times of Romulus Shadowchaser.
The life and times of Romulus. I mean, that's a film I'd watch. It's like he just turns up. So I was actually thinking about this afterwards, and I was thinking it is a bit like one of those things where it's like in every time there must be a whatever. Like the way that Spider-Man comics are going now is every universe, a bit like in Spider-Verse, there has to be a spider totem, and it's like there's a hero that represents that in every. I was thinking
there's a hero in all
in
of
every
us.
reality there must be a Romulus Shadowchaser.
Yeah.
They should have just kept going. They need to reboot it.
Then we get Pete Romulus. The military detect that there's missiles ready again, aiming at them. And Romulus says, "Shoot!" And then
he says, "Turn them and burn them."
And then it goes close up in his face, and he's like, "I just love the 4th of July."
It's way more insane than that.
And it's the 24th of December.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's a clip on YouTube. I didn't watch it because I hadn't seen the film yet, but when I was looking for if there's a version, there's a looped version of it on
maybe
YouTube.
if you get the
time.
Oh
no, don't worry, I've got it written down.
Put that clip here. That's going also in the trailer.
That's going at the end of the episode, definitely. It's like, I just love the 4th of July. It's like, it's so
and it's not Independence Day.
But the missiles hitting the cars is actually quite cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of missiles firing.
And do you know what? Some of the stuntmen here are quite good.
Yeah, there's a guy
Most
who
of it are really
into
bad.
A windscreen, and there's people flying.
But also,
up.
you can see the floors. It's not like they're diving into padded flooring.
Yeah.
They're launching themselves over these cars.
Yeah.
As the car's getting blown up and landed on this like concrete. And I was like,
I'm sure there's a bit of perspective and stuff.
Yeah.
But even so, you know,
it looks quite good.
It's exactly.
Maybe because the rest of the film doesn't look good.
Did we have numbers for budget and stuff?
No, I think it was a direct to DVD.
But still, I mean, quite impressive kind of. I know pyrotechnics themselves probably, like, to do it unsafely is probably not that expensive, but it looks good. It looks fairly expensive.
It's kind of ongoing explosions for a good like 30 seconds.
It reminded me, I'd seen a bit of a Transformers on TV, and it's not to that scale, but it's that kind of like destruction where there's probably like 20 or so cars, and about half of them like get blown up quite badly.
Then we get a shot of Ricky like losing oxygen and sweating a lot.
He's kind of like standing, and I thought like you should just lie down and just breathe really like slowly.
Yeah.
He's like almost like
he's also a child.
Yeah, but he's a fucking and take off some layers. I mean, I don't want to see that, but like, you know.
All right, Sam. Whoa, this kid's dying.
I'm not gonna say anything. There's nothing I can say. That's not.
We could definitely take that clip.
I mean, I didn't say.
But yeah, we also see a bad guy like welding a hole in the ground as part of their escape plan.
I don't really know what's.
I don't really never quite understood their escape plan.
They say at one point, Frank / what's he called? Luke. What's
Ricky.
Kevin. Frank Kevin Mead. He's looking on maps at one point, and he goes,
Google Maps.
He's on maps. He goes, Google Maps, find me a way out of here. And it says something about there's like a thinner part of metal somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they figured out where their escape route was going to be, and they were going to maybe use the same escape route. They don't use that. No one uses that.
No.
But it's fine. And Frank's like ready with Laurie. And
they're like wandering around a bit.
But they get to a point and they're like, let's get them here.
I wrote then they start banging. And I was like, I have to write pipes at the end there because they start banging pipes.
Frank starts hitting a pipe to draw attention.
I didn't realize they were drawing attention at first. I was like, you were being unnecessarily loud here.
No, because we hear it from the other side, and then
the
three terrorists that are left.
Two of them
go,
sneak in,
and it's Lady Terrorist and Rambo Mullet guy.
Yeah, and Lady Terrorist walks into a wire that they've set up.
Yeah, tripwire,
and immediately she explodes, but then she falls and screams and is dead on the floor. And I was like, I feel like the scream shouldn't have been there, to be honest.
Yeah, and the and Sylvester Stallone kind of looking guy, he goes over to the body that's covered in blood. does the pulse check, and then looks horrified that there's blood.
I almost felt bad for him because he seems so shook up.
He seems so shaken up by his friend.
And the fact that he's probably murdered like 10 people.
He was definitely murdering people earlier.
And then he gets really angry. And I was like...
Maybe it was supposed to be like his girlfriend.
I think this guy thought... I think it was maybe his girlfriend. Yeah. But I thought the actor thought, this is my breakout role. But then he sees Laurie and kind of aims a gun at her, and Kevin pulls out his like trademark move,
jump from
behind, and they land in like a pool of water.
Yeah, I've no idea why there's a pool. You know what it feels like? X-Men 2 when they go to the Project Weapon X facility. And there's that weird pool that Wolverine gets lowered into when he gets this procedure done. It's like a kind of almost like a coffin-sized pool of water, just in the middle of like a lab for some reason. And they just have this like
do some punchies again.
Very wet fights where their bare hairs are just like.
And Laurie's also very wet watching the fight.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's kind of good at fighting again, Frank, Kevin, and he's also kind of getting drowned. They're both drowning each other in intervals.
And then he like stands up and like shouts now and like jumps out the pool.
Yeah,
and she swings like a loose electrical wire at him,
turns it on, but. Then the guy, the terrorist, grabs the wire and then gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
It wasn't long enough to hit the water.
No.
I don't know if that's a budget thing. And
maybe he was trying to push it away and it just like clenched because he's been electrocuted.
I mean, just stay away from it. Maybe run the other way.
He's upset. Like...
maybe he was trying to.
Fiance and him had a lovely wedding.
And their poor child is at home
in Honolulu the next week. Their child had been through a lot. It's not their child; it's an adoptive child that came from a bad home, and they took this child in.
Was it Ricky?
And they're getting married next week.
Oh God!
And. Now
he obviously had cold feet because he grabbed that wire with full throttle.
Well, it's a bit late. She's dead. It doesn't matter if you had cold feet or not. Wedding's not going ahead at that point.
Okay, he wanted to get married to her on the other side.
It's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of deal.
Romulus and Juliet.
Oh my God.
There's a remake.
Yeah, it's the sequel.
That'll be number 5. Maybe we should rank Frank Zagarino, what's he called?
Frank Zagarino. Yeah, that would be great, actually.
Zagarino. You know what I was thinking? This is probably a good time to talk about it. If we ever do a completely different podcast, I would love to do a Frank Zagarino podcast because he's got 52 acting credits. I looked up earlier.
My God.
That's a solid 52 episodes. Project Zagarino, Project Frank.
Yeah,
he's got 52, and they go from like there's like a music video where he's Dolph Lundgren's sparring partner in like the early 80s through to stuff like in 2008, I think. I've got his thing here, but yeah, it's it's an option. If we don't do it, someone else needs
to. Maybe for the weeks that we're not doing the Silver Screen Project, we can do the Frank Zagarino project.
53 now. He's got a new one on there since I last looked.
What year did it come out?
It hasn't come out yet.
Oh,
it's in pre-production. First film since 2008.
Go on, Zagarino.
You know what? This one sounds fantastic. This is a bit of a what's it called? Sizzle for the
the Zagarino project.
And we've got to do it chronologically, surely, as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So this will be one of the last ones because it's 2007 and it's called Spiker.
Yeah.
Can you guess what it's going to be about?
Drugs?
No. So Spiker is a pink-eyed albino serial killer who slashes his victims with railroad spikes and buries the bodies under train tracks.
Oh my God.
He escapes from an asylum and returns to the small town he terrorized years before.
Is our boy Frank the serial killer? Surely he has to be.
It looks like it's him on the picture. He's in black and white and he's got 2 spikes like this. I thought it was going to be like a vampire slaying film because it's kind of got that vibe. It doesn't say, but pink-eyed, you'd imagine,
Right, yeah.
Anyway,
So
it's only an hour and a
let's
half.
organise that off pod because I'm well up for Project Zagarino.
2.5 out of 10.
Yes.
He directed it, right?
Oh my god, yes. Zagarino Project.
Wait, hang on, just very quickly. He plays Adam Brandis, whoever that is. So he's in it.
Right. So we get a bit here now where this is where Romulus is seen in negative. He's looking at Hutton and it's all negative.
Yeah.
And he's struggling a bit. He's got like a headache or something.
Yeah.
And
Hutton's like, I thought you were fucking crazy. And he's like, and he's like holding his head and he's got like wide eyes as if like he's having a malfunction. We never find out what's going on.
He hits Hutton though, and Hutton runs away.
Yeah, because he keeps threatening him as well. And I think when does he? No, that's a bit later. Don't worry. We then see Ricky again. He's very sweaty.
Yeah.
Then the warhead is being launched.
Yes. So we've got 24 minutes.
Really, I have 14 minutes.
Joe, what? It might be 14 minutes and I might have pressed 2. I keep doing that. My phone's a bit bigger than my old phone. I haven't quite got used to. I keep pressing 2 instead of 1 by mistake. So I'm
trying to think of a funny example of when that would work, but listeners, email us with your suggestions. projectpod@gmail.com.
It's better than going the other way around. Oh, how old's your girlfriend?
There we go.
I swear I meant to say 24. Yeah.
I wrote after the 14 minutes, hey, that's about how long we have left.
Oh.
I don't know if it timed perfectly.
Well,
it was
no, but the timer doesn't work because we see a countdown earlier and the seconds come up to 100.
Yeah, that was in the goose. Did you see that?
I
was very confused about that timer.
I thought maybe like it wasn't seconds, it was just percentage of a minute. But then it gets further down. They literally count the seconds and I was like, oh, that's just dumb then. They couldn't find a clock.
They just had like a number machine.
Yeah, Kevin and Laurie capture Hutton because he's wandering around.
And he's like, oh, they captured me. And she saw from the very start that he was hacking, so she knows it's bullshit.
They threaten him and he's like, oh, I'm
she's proper like mama bear, like badass. She's like, she practically puts the gun in his mouth and is like, I'll blow your fucking brains out.
Because he's like, Romulus isn't human and the kid is probably dead. And she's like, you kidding me? He's like, let's get out of here. And she puts the gun right into his face. And then the glasses assassin tells Romulus, we need to get out of here.
With the glasses still on as well.
Yeah, we need to get out of here. And Romulus responds by throwing a knife into his throat.
Yeah, and then what does he say?
I guess you stay in, asshole.
I mean, the lines are so bad. They're so bad.
But Frank Zagarino goes for it.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I'm so there for it.
Like, I mean, I don't know what I could do that's better than that line, but
no,
it's not that. It's not very inventive at all. But you know, it's part of the charm.
You know, he's a robot.
But he also knows the name of like prolific terrorists and Die Hard references.
Yeah,
maybe his brain's full of those two things.
And we get some more. So Laurie radios the sheriff and tells them they're going to take apart the missile so that it's denuclearized.
And the jet is entering like the strike zone, so it's the airstrike is coming basically.
And they go into the room where Ricky is and she just shoots at the glass.
Yeah.
She doesn't know he's suffocating.
No.
And just shoots at this glass
she
door.
probably knows what that chamber does.
Guess.
But he luckily is on the floor. I mean, the glass happens to not lacerate him as he lies there.
Yeah.
But she doesn't shoot next to him, you know.
Yeah.
But
he's nearly dead, but he like wakes up.
Yeah.
And then Romulus is there and Hutton again plays dumb, be like, oh, they captured me.
Yeah, he tries the exact same trick again and just gets
Romulus
shot.
Absolutely annihilates him with his gun.
I think we missed that Romulus, after the Christmas party put a leather jacket on.
Yes.
He then takes it off.
He takes it off here and exposes his very wide chest. And I've got this whole line written down.
Oh, good. Me too. Yeah.
He goes,
I'll follow along.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm trying ladies and gentlemen, now for the main event of the evening. In the blue corner, we have got the janitor. In the red corner, we have me. Let's get ready to rumble.
And the whole time we can hear like these faint crowd noises. It's very strange.
He's going insane.
He's gone mad.
And it's another pop culture reference. Does he watch like WWE or
know.
WWF?
I think it's that's from it's some boxing thing though.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called. SmackDown? No, that's wrestling. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, it's very much that because the thing is, they're both muscly, sweaty.
Yeah.
Now topless because Frank takes his top off as well. Of course.
Yeah.
Even though he was sleeveless anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah. Frank stands up and like goes to join the fight,
and he was not that good at fighting, as I've mentioned loads of times. Realistically, he has absolutely no chance here. But
from here to the rest of my fit wrestler. So what I usually do, I do a new paragraph for each scene.
Yeah.
I had to go back in the film and split the rest of it into 3 parts because it's just non-stop for the rest of the film from here.
Yeah, I kind of split it as I go just to see what. Yeah, I know what you mean though. Yeah.
But yeah, so Kevin goes to fight Romulus. Laurie puts Ricky in the corner and goes to the.
Nobody puts Ricky in the corner.
That's literally what I thought at the time. And she goes to the bomb and like opens up the hatch and starts defusing it.
Disarming it. Yeah.
And then Romulus and Kevin do the punchy punchies.
Yeah, and it's lots of slow mo, and Romulus is doing the commentary while he's fighting.
And he's clearly winning. And he's got him down on the ground.
And Frank's doing like a couple of martial arts.
But he's being outclassed.
But it's very like Infinity Project when he's doing lots of showy stuff. And Romulus like takes the piss and then just like socks him in the face. It's quite funny.
But we've got 3 minutes till the bomb. And then they do a bit of like kung fu-y stuff and then go back to their punchy punchies.
Yeah, funnily enough, because we mentioned it as well, I put that Romulus's weakness seems to be jumping because all the jump attacks that Frank does just really knock him.
We then get a great bit. It's quite unmatched, but then Kevin jump kicks Romulus and knocks him back, and then he spin kicks Romulus and knocks him back, and then he does a jump spin kick and knocks him. And I was like, that is brilliant.
Proper, it reminded me of Project Kill when there's just this stupid fight at the end.
Is the part that it was a jump kick, a spin kick, and then a jumping spinning kick.
So his weakness is jumping, which is very funny. And
he does punch him back.
Well, he gets up and he has the whirring noises that we had in the first one. Because in the first one, there were sporadic times towards the end where he would occasionally have proper whirring noises. And they kept that for this part here. So he whirs back up and starts beating the shit out of Frank.
And he's like literally got him on the ground. He's about to do like killing punch. And then Ricky runs over.
And he's just yelling the whole... it's that thing where people announce their attacks. He's yelling
and he like
the whole way across the room.
He jumps as if he's going to do a kick. And then just jumps into Romulus and Romulus just catches him and he's kind of like, what the fuck are you doing?
And then Laurie who's trying to fucking get on with the thing.
Trying to defuse a super nuke.
She's going, Ricky! And she runs across, grabs a pole. For a second, I thought she was going to pole vault kick into him, which would have been fantastic.
That would have been the peak of the whole jumping stuff.
She smacks the shit out of him twice.
And then guts him and into the wall. The classic stabbing into the wall.
And it's a fuse box thing, isn't it? So it gets electrocuted. And I think lightning also
it causes like a huge electrical surge.
It looked like lightning struck at that time.
I think lightning came out.
Yeah.
Not that makes any sense.
It looked like it struck lightning at the same time. Yeah. And we think, oh, finally, it's worked. Romulus is dead.
They go back to the bomb.
They can't call off the airstrike, even though that.
Yeah, Kevin's like, stop the airstrike. And they say it's too late. And we get to the last 10 seconds. We've had the bit where it was like 2 minutes and 100 seconds.
Yeah.
And also, if you've got that clock, don't show it until the number gets below 60.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Edit around it, yeah. And we get to 25 seconds, and suddenly they're like, "Oh, I need something to cut the wire." And Frank takes ages, I guess because he's pissed and he's just been concussed. He takes ages to stumble something out of his pocket.
What does he get out?
It's a penknife. It's the most obvious thing. And then he can't open it until there's about 3 seconds left. And it looks like they're both fighting over which wire to cut. She's like, this one, and he's like, oh.
But they cut the wire.
Yeah.
And it says missile launch aborted.
Yeah.
But they didn't abort it. They defused it. And they even said...
Oh, yeah, it should have still...
They even said, even if you like take the nuclear thing out, it'll still shoot, but it won't be deadly.
I think they did something different.
Why did the missile not shoot?
Because they're right next to it and they would have been hit. No, because the missile, they couldn't stop the airstrike for some reason, even though they could.
They also...
Did they say they couldn't stop that?
Yeah, I was very confused by this. But yeah, anyway, the sheriff guy, Sheriff O'Hara, has got a helicopter. And he's like, I'll meet you.
In the silo.
They're going up the silo. He's like, cool, I'll meet you there.
They're all climbing up the ladder.
But then Romulus wakes up. And as they're climbing up, so like Ricky and Laurie get on the helicopter ladder, but Romulus grabs Frank.
Yeah, who's at the bottom.
As he's getting on. And the helicopter kind of pulls them all out of the silo.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, again, they're all shouting at Ricky. They're like, Ricky, grab the ladder! Ricky, grab the ladder!
Yeah. And they've got 60 seconds until the airstrike.
And the police guy's like, come on, Ricky, come on.
Yeah. And Kevin and Romulus are doing some punchies down at the bottom.
Kevin/Frank is like, he's doing like a circus trick where his legs are like on the trapeze and he's leaning back and Romulus is holding on to the bottom.
Yeah.
My Siri started trying to request what I was, and they're kind of, they're leaning back into each other, punching.
And then like Ricky and Laurie get into the helicopter and Frank starts stamping on Romulus's hand. Right. Romulus, right, before we get to that, Romulus is a robot.
Yeah.
Surely he doesn't feel pain.
Yeah, I was thinking this. Surely he should. What they should have done, penknife, cut
the rope.
Sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
Frank dies
or
too.
just cuts the rope below him, you know.
But he'd have like a vice-like grip. Literally, a vice.
But
grip.
he loses grip. And what is it that Frank says?
Frank says... He's about to do a very big stomp and he goes, Elvis has left the building. And he stamps on his fingers. Romulus falls down into the building.
Airstrike comes.
The airstrike
Romulus falls on top of we get a quick shot.
Oh, dude.
He lands on top of the bomb and it goes like through his stomach.
Oh, really? I missed that.
It literally flashed up for a second and I was like, wait, what? Because it's literally like a single frame.
Oh, what, like the missile itself?
Yeah, he lands on top, and it was I had to go back, so I was like, did I just see that? And it's literally a single frame, literal blink and you miss it, and because obviously Romulus dies at the end of every film.
If we did episode thumbnails, I feel like that would be a good episode thumbnail. And then there's another missile too. They're like, missile 2 going.
Yeah, and it's basically blowing up. So Romulus has been blown up in this silo.
The helicopter's like strung. Is O'Leary? Is
O'Hara? Every time of O'Leary.
Is O'Hara piloting the chopper?
No,
okay, because he's leaning out of it, and I thought, you're not.
No, he does talk to the pilot at some point.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, everyone gets into the helicopter. There's lots of explosions.
I realised, doesn't the first film end with them on a ladder?
On a helicopter, yeah.
Like a ladder bit.
Yeah,
like the same thing.
And Romulus falls into an explosion. If every film finishes like this, I'll be so happy.
Yeah, they've got to keep it going now.
Like people escape in a helicopter ladder,
or like
Romulus falls
adapt it for the situation, but they kind of
because the first one was in a skyscraper. This isn't a skyscraper, but they still had created a situation where they escape in a helicopter.
Even if it's a different mode of transport and he's hanging off a ladder and there's an explosion, you know.
Oh. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
I kind of do want to do it soon, actually.
Yes. So yeah, the day is saved. The helicopter lands by the military.
Yeah.
The news is like there and talking to the three of them.
Yeah, and the Fed guy's like, "Congratulations, everyone! You did really well."
Yeah, the military guy's like, "Oh, I didn't expect to see you,"
and then Laurie just punches the Fed guy in the face, which is very. I'm pretty sure Die Hard does something similar.
Yeah, it does the whole, and it's like, it even has like, oh, here's the cop that we like, and the feds are bad.
Yeah.
Because this film needed to be even more like Die Hard.
And O'Hara, I've got it written this time.
Wait.
The only time. He's like, why don't you kids go and enjoy what's left of your Christmas?
Yeah.
Because I assume at this point it's like 6 a.m. Christmas morning.
And Laurie like hugs him.
Yeah, she's very like, thanks for everything.
And then
they have like an awkward like...
yeah, Frank's like, oh, what are you two going to do for Christmas? And Laurie's like, oh, me and Ricky are going to get to know each other.
Which is a really weird line because I understand that they'd... Like,
but it's literally just those two live together.
Like, we can spend some quality time.
Yeah.
Get to know each other sounds like the kind of thing like you're on a date or something.
Yeah.
It's a very strange.
And Frank, I've written Frank now, apparently. He's like, I need a shower.
Yeah, and they're like, we've got a great big shower.
And I thought it said we've got a big turkey for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I think they do say something about the shower.
Yeah,
as well.
I think maybe they invite him to shower, but they invite him over for Christmas. And then
yeah, and then he's like, oh, that reminded me of when I fought
the 78 kickboxing championship.
Yeah, when I fought this giant guy. And it's like,
and he's like walking ahead, and Laurie, call back to earlier in the film, goes, nice ass.
And he turns around and goes, what you say?
And then it's the classic freeze frame, and we get some Christmas music.
It's the goofiest face, and Jingle Bells plays.
Oh.
And this is when I realised that we could have watched it for a Christmas project.
Yeah, but boy, was that fun.
Another good thumbnail would be that goofy face of him at the end.
Oh, God, maybe on YouTube.
I could just do that really big for the whole thing. Yeah.
But yeah, that was Project Shadowchaser 2.
Yeah, it was.
To fly straight into trivia.
Yes.
Also known as
Night
Siege, Project Shadowchaser 2.
Yeah.
Night Siege. Oh, Night Scenes?
Night Scenes as well, yeah.
And Armed and Deadly.
Yeah. Another bit of trivia, which I don't know if you saw. It was re-edited. Did you see this?
No.
Into the 1995 Israeli film, I think. Is it Israeli? I think it's an Israeli film called Deadly Outbreak, which has its entirely different IMDb page. So I imagine they just reuse some of the like explosions and like scientist shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's two completely different actors on the cover. So maybe they kind of lent them the footage as stock footage.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really
that was really bizarre.
Really bizarre, yeah.
The other bit of trivia that I have was that it was filmed in South Africa.
Nice. I didn't know that. But what was it? We covered something on this that was filmed just after Dread in South Africa. It might have been Project Shadowchaser 1.
Maybe.
Yeah. It was something else that was filmed just after Dread. Interesting.
But yeah, I had great fun watching this. Honestly, the most fun I've had for one of these for a while.
Yeah, no, I did. I had a slight, when I started, I felt like a little bit, I've got to watch this.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to going
to
bed.
As soon as Romulus turns up,
exactly the same.
From there onwards, it is just great.
I do think, like, out of the main characters, like, Frank wasn't really anything. Like, he was okay, but, like, the weird football player guy who was the criminal from the first one, I didn't like him as much, but he was more of a character. And Laurie was probably better than the female lead of the other one.
Yeah.
She did more.
Actually,
she doesn't have the final killing blow, but that part with the stabbing the thing, it felt like, oh, they're letting her kind of do some stuff in this. And, you know, the explosions, actions and all that. The pacing really was the main thing. It's that first third of the film. But I think with all of these, it's going to be like that because they just get all the exposition and set up out the way and setting relationships
Yeah,
up.
and like I think this film is like more aware of what it is than the first one was.
Definitely, yeah. And like you said, it leans into that kind of Die Hard's. I was gonna say Die Hard with a Vengeance, but that's not that one. So leans into Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, it really did say like, oh yeah, that first film was like Die Hard, but not as successful. Let's make this more like Die Hard.
Yes,
but we know what we're doing. We know we know we're just doing Die Hard.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And from what I've seen, the little snippets of the synopsis of the next ones, it seems like they're going to do something fun with it anyway. So I don't think we'll get this same thing again. Even if we did, don't mind too much.
Yeah, because like if you really break down the plot, it's not too different from the first one.
No, and lots of things like there's those what's he called? Where it's like Under Siege and stuff like that. What's he called? Steven Seagal did lots of films in this era, which are similar. The sequel and the first one are almost always the same thing, just in a different environment. Like you said, Die Hard 2 is the same as the first one, just in a different. Yeah.
So looking up like the future. So the first one came out in 92. Yeah. This was 94. And then the next one, again by the same guy, in 95. Yeah. And then the fourth one, 96, but with a different director.
Yes.
So it was just, they were just smashing these out year after year.
They would have been almost back-to-back kind of recording.
Yeah. Frank Zagarino was a busy man in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
But, I know...
Oh, God. I really want to read this description here to you.
Do not.
I'm not going to.
I'm aware that this is an objectively bad film.
Okay, I'm closing that too.
I know this is an objectively bad film. Oh, yeah. But
I've upped my rating on here, but I'm not sure if it's too generous.
Look, what are films made for?
Entertainment. Mainly.
Exactly. And not sometimes films are fun, bad, but sometimes,
fun. Yeah.
And this is the most fun I've had for a while. Like
just in general. Watching
this film was way more fun than the Adam Project.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah. And even some of the action was potentially better.
The
thing is as well, it's physical stuff. Like I don't want to be that guy, movies were better back in the 90s, because most of them weren't, to be honest.
No.
But there is something, even those explosions, that's the comparison with a Michael Bay film is because you could tell that it was real cars flipping. And often now there's a sheen, you can tell things are edited. And this was very under-edited often, which gave it this kind of freshness.
And some of the acting is a bit schlocky.
Yeah, a lot of
Frank,
especially
his actor isn't great.
Characters in the first third that don't stick around are pretty much all
Romulus
terrible.
Is such a character that I think Frank Zagarino played him exactly how he needed to play him.
Yeah, if he'd played him the same in the first one as in this, it wouldn't have been nearly as interesting. No. That change is really the only change to the formula.
The fact that he's kind of going a bit insane.
He's this
doing these wild pop culture references.
Yeah.
I think it was more fun than the first one. I think because we kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah, and there was these little minor twists, like Frank Zagarino being insane in this.
Yeah, and being the actual villain, and also not caring about the escape plan, just being like, nah, I'm just gonna blow shit up. Like,
it would be interesting if there is some sort of revelation that he's just like one of many, and there are lots of him. I'm sure they won't, but
yeah. But yeah, do you want to do ratings?
Yeah, I mean, do you have one in mind? Because I'm kind of struggling.
I think I'm going to give this a 7.
Yeah, that's what I was
saying. I know, objectively, it's not a good film.
I was considering an 8, but I don't think I can give it... When I actually watched it, I enjoyed it, but I think talking back on it has kind of...
Yeah.
I wrote a 7 initially.
It's kind of done the opposite than things like the Adam Project that went down after talking about it. But yeah, and I know everyone that's ever rated it on Rotten Tomatoes said it was bad.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's fun. It really is fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 7. Did you say?
Yeah, I'll go for a 7 as well.
Oh god, I don't remember many ratings, but I remember that I gave the Blair Witch Project a 6. I'm kind of thinking about that right now.
There's a review here. It's not exactly the most hilarious review, but there's some funny kind of sarky lines in here from the user Svekru
on IMDb reviews, right?
Sveknu, on IMDb. It's from 27th of November 2005, so it's like early IMDb stuff. And the heading is not exactly the Terminator. There is only one positive thing to say about this movie, and that's Frank Zagarino's performance as an android. Although he isn't anywhere near Arnold Schwarzenegger and the way he plays a cyborg, it was a bit entertaining watching it. Zagarino looked very robotic, that's for sure. I don't know if there's a bit of a dig there. I wouldn't have gone anywhere near the guy. Apart from this, it was a very bad movie. There are a number of action scenes, but they were all bad. Disagree.
Yeah, nah.
That also includes the fight scenes in the movie. Okay. The hero was a really stupid one, and personally, I didn't sympathize with him at all. What made things even worse was that he had to drag a stupid woman and her 11-year-old or something like that son around. That drove the focus heavy away from the action and was just irritating all the way through. So not really any of the same points that we made.
Yeah, I feel like he wasn't dragging her around as much as she was dragging him around.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like she was the lead, not him.
She's the lead and he's kind of the action guy.
Yeah.
Because he is like a muscle man.
So he can jump out of the shadows.
I don't think she jumps once.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
he is.
No, you know what? He even jumps out of the water as well, doesn't he?
He jumps from the shadows on people that are chasing him.
So maybe he's the real Shadowchaser.
He's
all
the
along.
Shadowchaser.
Maybe Frank was the real Shadowchaser all along. And
friends that we made along the way.
The real Shadowchaser. Well, maybe that's why they called him Frank, because Frank Zagarino.
Maybe that's why I kept calling him Frank. Oh, wait.
I
called him Kevin. Oh, why is he called Kevin?
Called Kevin. Anyway, 7s across the board. So that's a pretty good rating for this kind of thing, I think.
So now it's time for
Personal Projects.
This looks kind of personal.
Projects.
Oh, I love that little input you put there.
That was the best one so far.
This time it's personal. I really enjoyed that one.
It's not always this time it's personal.
And
we saw that this time because it was something else.
Yes, it was. So what have you been watching, doing, reading, playing, making, sitting, sleeping, standing,
dancing? I have been watching one of the first ones. Says I've been watching Riverdale season 6, otherwise known as the best program that has ever graced the airwaves of our fair nation, world, country.
You'll be gutted to hear I haven't got any Gilmore Boys to talk about today.
It is incredible. I don't know if you've heard much about where it is now. There was an explosion, and now 3 of the main characters and the dog have superpowers.
What?
Yeah, and they keep recapping it. Betty came back from being away.
Betty's the blonde one.
She came back and she went, what's going on, Archie? Catch me up. And he went, Jughead can read minds now. Oh, and there's a bad guy who's British who's called Percival Pickens, and he can control minds.
What?
I'm on about episode 105, I think it is. It's well worth it. And I think
Riverdale got to a point where they just stopped giving a shit about.
The thing is, it was wild early on, but wild in like serial killers every season, and like everyone is related to someone, and
and there was a weird like devil worshipping cult, wasn't there?
There was a Dungeons and Dragons thing that was kind of like playing on that thing where it was called the Gargoyle King, and it was people were being for.
Well, I know more than I realised.
Yeah, well, didn't you say Christina watched a fair bit of it? Yeah, and so I've only gotten into it in the last year, and I watched all of it on Netflix. And
imagine getting to 2021, knowing everything about Riverdale that people generally know, and thinking Yeah, I'm going to get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely I did, because it's fucking great. And you don't have to pay attention for most of it, because a la Ancient Aliens, they're constantly recapping what's going on. So you can be on your phone, you can be doing some drawing, painting, doing some painting of miniatures, which I've done a fair few times watching it. And you go, sorry, what's going on? And then Betty turns up and asks Archie what's going on. And they have a little conversation. The dog has superpowers as well.
What's the dog superpower?
It regenerated its 4 broken legs in 2 days. It was caught in the explosion.
So
it's Crypto the super dog, I think.
That's kind of a pointless superpower for a dog.
I mean,
though,
it might
really.
have more. We haven't actually seen the dog since it got blown up.
Right.
Also, the serial killer is stalking Betty, and also Cheryl's ancestor has possessed her body, and her adopted daughter is going into her dreams to try and get Cheryl back. That's just another plot that's happening. I'm 3 episodes into this season. This is all this all happened in the 3 episodes. It's fantastic.
Oh,
it's like a telenovela or something like that. It's very entertaining. So yeah,
lovely.
That's what I've been watching.
I
can't top that, can you?
I was trying
to pick between the things.
I was gonna pick one of 2 things. Actually, I'll put it down to you. Give me a number, 1 or 2.
2.
Okay. So one thing I watched was Logan.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Which I hadn't seen for a while. I forgot how sad that film is.
It's sad.
It's so sad.
Very early on. It's...
with Charles Xavier being he's got dementia and is locked in a tube.
And Wolverine's just having not even a midlife crisis. It's
he's falling apart.
He's
literally.
falling apart, yeah.
And it's very, very sad. And I was watching it and I remember most of it. But then when it got to the scene where Charles Xavier's in bed and Wolverine walks in, I was like,
oh, spoilers for Logan here.
Yeah, then this happened. So I remember seeing it. I remember at the time I was like, this is a dream sequence.
Yeah, because you have no idea what's...
then it's not. It's such a fantastic
It works
scene.
very well, and it's the silliest part of the film, that whole part of it with the Logans. But it's still, because it's a comic book film, it's not that...
Yeah.
You don't suspend your disbelief.
We've seen Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier in what?
Yeah.
5 or 6 films now?
Yeah.
And I know it's set in the future, but that is kind of the end to this character.
It is.
Who is essentially the main character running through these films.
Yeah.
And it's
very sad. And same for Hugh Jackman at this point.
But it's not like he went out fighting. He went out as an old man with dementia in bed, being killed by who he thought was his closest friend.
Although he does see him after, and he says, "I know it wasn't me," and stuff. But whether he knows that, but he's also coming to terms with the fact that he was responsible for killing all the X-Men at that point.
Yeah.
That
revelation.
He's having that lucid moment, and then gets killed. Yeah,
it's and the fact and that bit as well. They've been taken in by this really nice farmer family who all then get killed.
Yeah.
It's all very, very sad.
It's really sad. Yeah.
And then obviously Logan dies as well.
Yeah, I'd quite like to. I was trying to remember if Amy's seen it.
It's on Disney Plus because obviously they bought Fox.
Yeah. Speaking of Disney Plus, no Moon Knight for us this week because we're recording the day before it comes out.
Yeah.
So we will do. I think we said 2 and 3 together probably next episode.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll talk about it. You don't want to hear our discussions every week, I'm sure. Anyway, if you do, though, we're happy to start the Moon Knight project where we exclusively talk about Moon Knight.
But that is the show for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then give us 5 stars. It is nice seeing those reviews come in, so keep them coming because it is nice to see and it does really help out the pod, as well as giving us 5 stars. If you are Frank Zagarino or a huge fan of Frank Zagarino, you can get in contact directly, can't you, Sam?
You can indeed. You can send us an email at the aforementioned email, theprojectpod@gmail.com. Or all our social medias are in the link tree in the episode description, or you can search the Project or the Project Pod on all social medias. So please do let us know if you want us to rush out these Shadow Chaser episodes. As Lewis said, if you want to send us some Romulus Shadowchaser, Romulus Shadowchaser throughout history fan fictions, we will absolutely read them out with voices on the podcast.
You could do the T100 versus Romulus.
It's got, you know what? I don't think this film has any like fans at all. Like this film series. I know the first one, there was a couple of fairly medium reviews.
But the fact that there was only 2 audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it feels like it's quite exciting. It feels like we're the only people who've ever watched this film.
Which is, I'm just going to quickly check how many people have reviewed it on IMDb.
I think it was in the low hundreds. Like,
that's mad. That's really low.
Like low as in
373. I've never seen one that's less than like a couple of thousand.
I'll do it so that you don't have to get any spoilers. I'm going to check the fourth one has slightly more reviews there.
That's bizarre.
I don't know why that is. And the third one has.
Have you seen how happy Frank Zagarino looks in his
really...
IMDb picture?
Had to sneeze off camera. Off camera? Not recording them yet. I know, it's like a proper selfie he's got there.
He's like, what, 63 years old? Oh.
He looks pretty good still, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He's got a little moustache going on there.
Oh, Frank. Frankie.
I can't wait to do the Frank. Oh my God.
Project Frank Zagarino.
Spoilers, and I won't say what the spoiler is, but his character name is different in number 4.
Oh, okay.
So there's a little sizzle.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to that. But for now, it has been a pleasure having you all here.
It has been.
We will be back again next week.
Yep.
So I shall hear you then.
And I'll see you on the 4th of July.
I
probably shouldn't have said that because the clip's going to play after this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will see you when Elvis leaves the building.
Let's get ready to rumble.
I just love the 4th of July.
Merry Christmas.